morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, indeedy. My goodness. We have no song today because we have no music today. My phone updated and my libraries are gone. So, anyways, hey, sorry about that. That's why I'm late trying to figure that out. But hey, y'all know how it goes, man. It's a Monday thing, you know. Hell, I think I'm gonna take a vacation. You may want to go on vacation. Let's go on vacation. Daniel, you want to go on vacation? Daniel, go with me. Daniel's on the road. He'll go with me.
I think your music is not gone.
I'm sure it's on there. It's
just has a different look.
It just has a different look. You know, we'll see. No recent searches. You know, it's all good. It's all good. But hey, anyways, it's Monday. Sun's out. We got a decent day. Trying to make a little money out there today. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see how that progresses along. But doing a little mowing out there today. Doing a little landscaping and mulching. Finishing up round one, starting round two. So we got trucks doing both. Yeah. So hey, it's weed time. We're going to try to make a lot of people happy. That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to actually talk about that a little bit. You know, matter of fact, we got some funny story to tell you a little bit about that. Before we get into all that, though, hope you had a great weekend. Trying to think what I did this weekend. Watched a little basketball. Went up and watched my granddaughter play volleyball Saturday for a little bit. And then came home and let's see, gosh, what happened there? It seems like something went on Saturday. Let's see. Daniel, they came over, him and Caitlin came over and we watched some. Was that Saturday night or Friday night?
Friday.
That was Friday. That's right, because we had fish. That's right. So, and then next Sunday, excuse me for that. But and then we got Easter week going on, so we're trying to get some work done, and looks like we might have a little bit of a drippy week this week. We'll see what happens, but maybe Wednesday afternoon, and then maybe Thursday afternoon late, and Friday morning. Who knows? I reach out to my buddies at BAM. We'll find out about the weather, but. We're going to work around it same way you guys are going to, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. Trying to get a little bit of mowing done, trying to make people happy. And, you know, it's Easter weekend. It's going to be wet. I think they're saying anywhere between maybe 2.5 to 4 inches potentially of rain for our area. We'll see how that pans out. Be nice and drippy. But hey, it is what it is. You know, I swear I was thinking about this the other day, yeah, I'll go ahead and get into it. We've talked a little bit about it before, but I was just watching some, and we're not the only industry that deals with the weather, obviously. I mean, you know, there's a ton of different industries that deals with the weather, but, I'm gonna talk about that more in depth here in just a second, but you know, there's a lot of different industries that have to deal with the weather. But you know how sweet it would be if you didn't. You know, I can't even remember what I was watching. I was watching an advertisement for somebody, and I thought, I'm sure they got, you know, it's always greener on the other side of the fence, right? No pun intended with that, but you know. Well, let's just hold that thought. Let's hold that thought till we get there. So, but anyways, hope your Monday's off to a good kickoff, good start, and hopefully you had something good to do this weekend. I know yesterday, I don't know if how many of you are college basketball fans, but I was so excited when that boy from UConn hit that shot to send Duke home, and not because I hate Duke. I just, you know, I was just glad to see Duke get beat, you know. So, but yeah, Jane despised Duke from the Christian Laettner shot days. But that was awesome, that guy hitting that shot. I mean, it evidently, that's the first team, though, Daniel, They didn't say it, but what they said earlier is going to make this valid. That was the first team, number one team that had a 15 or more point lead at halftime and lost
Right.
because they were during the game they were saying no team that ranked number one has had a 15-point lead and lost.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and then, matter of fact, CBS even got us bold. And you guys, if y'all don't believe me on this, you can go back and look at it. Definitely go back and look at it. But about 5 minutes left in the game, they were showing the final four, and they slid Duke in as they said, so we're going to have these four in the final four. So, and you don't see them do that very much. They don't make that kind of move. So, but anyway, oh, sorry, Seth. You know, he said it was a great weekend until his Dookies crumbled. You
Nice.
know, he's not okay. So sorry, Seth, man. I really hate that for your sake, man. But I just was excited, to see that shot go in for that guy too, man. And they just play with a lot of arrogance, and there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, and that's something that even within your business, I want you guys to understand that there is a big difference between confidence and arrogance, and there's a very fine line in having the confidence of knowing. That's true, Seth. Everybody's moving on. Sun came up today, came up for them too, But there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and you got to be careful, on what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And if
Well, I
uh,
think too, your own dislike for Duke will tell you that that's arrogance.
maybe so, maybe that's true,
I think someone else looking in from a very distant third party that,
right,
most people that watch college basketball have a dislike of Duke, right? It's the same way that
right,
people that dislike Notre Dame and Ohio State and football and, all the traditional programs, even the same way they dislike Kentucky, in
right,
basketball. Or, Louisville fans or Kentucky fans look at Louisville and say, well, they're just this or they're. But in reality, it's like, well, the other fans could look at your team and say the same stuff. And I think that's an important thing to take away too, is that don't let someone telling you that you're being arrogant, that maybe either doesn't like you or doesn't support you or whatever, get you off your game of you actually just being confident.
true. I agree. I agree 100% on that. But okay, I'll go with that.
Because I think to a certain degree, you go to a school, you go to a program, you go to a business like a Duke, or, you get a big job at a nice big company. It's like they want you to be a certain way, right? Like that's who they go after, is that guy that's just on the edge of confident and arrogant. The guy that will do something that, well, maybe we don't love that act. We don't love that the way you
Right.
did that. Let's rein it back in a little bit. But if you didn't do that, we also wouldn't have had this outcome, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it takes a very, like, it's not necessarily always just the skill at a certain level. It's your it's
The
the way
demeanor.
it's the demeanor.
Yeah.
It's that kind of alpha mentality that, yes, can float in between arrogance and confidence, but that's why they're there. That's why
Yeah.
they play for Duke or they play for Kentucky, is because they've always stood up and stood out in situations, and that's why they are there.
So how does that translate into a guy's business?
I think it's
That's
just
the
a matter
same
of
way, isn't
whether
it?
it's employees and you're like, hey,
You know,
we want somebody that has that, but we're also gonna have some things in our business training and stuff that will keep people on the right side of it. Or if it's for yourself, hey, I'm a business owner. I can do what I want. I can do it how I want. And so sometimes that can lead you to being arrogant and not being a good learner. And so, it's good to have that, or that's probably why you are business owners, because you feel like confidence in yourself, but also don't let that creep
right.
into the area where you're not willing to learn from other people, or take criticism or whatever.
So, anyways, we don't want to beat that horse to death, but I did want to talk about it a little bit and, uh, and talk about that line, of that they have, they meaning successful people, but just be sure that we keep it on the confidence level and not the arrogant level. And generally, the way we do that is being a little more open minded and not having the my way or highway mentality. Because I mean that can happen too. I mean, that happens pretty quick sometimes. So, with that being said, I wanted to give a big shout out to my friends out in St. Louis, Scott Muehlhauser and his family. If you guys out in that area know that Scott, with Scott's Lawn Equipment, they have a few dealerships out there, and I've done several seminars for them out there. Daniel, matter of fact, you've been out there with me and Katie, and but he lost his wife, and after almost 50 years of marriage. So, if you guys would, if you believe in praying for people, just pray for their family to get through this rough time. I know it's going to be challenging for each and every one of them. So that's a heck of a long time, man. Half a century. Whew. A lot of you guys listening to us aren't even that old, and he's been married that long. So uh, big shout out to Scott and his daughter Julie and their whole family and um, uh, all their family, in general. So I'm sure it'll be a tough time on them. So just did want to bring that up because I know it's always good to feel the love, if you will, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible. It sounds weird, but you do feel that love when you're getting those prayers and you're getting those comments and that positive feedback on people, and just wanted to do that, Scott. In case you're listening to us at some point on a replay on this, I'm sure you got more things at hand than listening to Turfs Up Radio today, but I know you're a good listener here, so we appreciate that. So did want to do that. So let's take a short break. Yay, Mike. Mike said he's going to be out late getting some work done. They're going to the beach for spring break.
Nice.
That sounds good deal, man. I'm going with you. Can I go? I want to go. I want to go with you. Uh, Mike said he's never been to the beach. Daniel,
Oh,
interesting.
fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. First adventure. That'd be really, really cool. So see what see what's going see what's going on out there for sure. So um, where were y'all headed, Mike? I'm just curious. Doesn't matter one bit. But hey, they're just glad to be going, and I know you're going to have a good time with that, without a doubt. So you're going to really enjoy that. So I hope you and your family have a good time, and hope your weather is outstanding, and I know it will be. So it's funny. I want to talk about something funny today. We talking about starting our round two applications, and today in Navarro Beach. Oh, okay. I think I just had a friend that went down there. I think that's where Chris Kelty went.
Huh.
Maybe Chris and Jimmy White are a couple friends of mine. I think that may be where they went, but I wouldn't swear to that. Um, should be an easy drive for you. I think that's up in the Panhandle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's where they just went and did some. I think Jimmy's got a daughter that lives down there, and they went down and did some landscaping.
Oh yeah.
Did some landscaping for
Right.
him.
I'm talking about that.
Yeah. So, anywho's, yeah, we got round two underway. Going to start killing some broadleaf weeds, Daniel. And speaking of which, we have Miss Biscus in here with us, and I was talking to her about some triclopyr. So, yes, we are getting the triclopyr out and about that for those violets and hard to control weeds. We are doing it. We are doing it. Yes, indeedy. I know our customers are going to be really happy to see that hen bit and chickweed disappear.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. So, Mike, that's what it's all about, buddy. Has some fun and yeah, yeah. It- oh my God, that's funny. That's really funny.
Freshen up for this his upcoming hockey tournament.
Yeah, we're looking forward to you coming up here, Mike.
Yeah.
Um, when did he tell us that was in
I think it was the last or second to last. It was like the 24th of April, I think.
April? Yeah, so keep us tuned in on when the dates are that you're going to be up here, buddy, because we are full blown planning on coming to watch you play hockey, man. So Katie said she's going to make some signs up, and
Yep.
we're ready. It's going to be fun. We're going
Yeah.
to be fun.
I think I don't think I've ever been to a hockey game, so
Yeah.
it'll
So
be fun. I like to watch it on TV.
looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. So yeah, let us know. Oh, Seth says it is it too much to ask for a non-windy workday. Yeah, probably so, man. Because I'm just happy it's not raining. You know, uh, absolutely. I think we send a work order into BAM and see if Brett and Matt and those guys can do that. So for us, Seth, we. I was thinking of that this morning. I said it's not raining, but it's windy, and we're going to try making lawn applications. We're got some liquid going, but you know, we'll just you just got to be careful. Just got to be careful, and I mean, some wind you cannot spray in, and depending on what you're spraying and where you're spraying, and that whole thing. But yep, there's some days when it's just too windy, man. You just can't do it. So I don't know. We had something funny. Oh my God. Katie and Kyle were having a conversation this morning about a lady that called in. Said, who was the lady that called in and wanted clover put in her yard? And Kyle said, or
Katie said.
Katie said, well, that was the crazy lady. And Kyle said, which one? And I'm just curious if you guys get the feeling like that with customers sometime. And let's be realistic. I know, we're not supposed to say that, but realistically, I mean, we don't tell our customers that, but the reality of it is, I don't know if it's just this time of the year because today we've had uh, two two requests that are different. One was on our phone that said, "Hey, I'm reaching back out to you guys. I haven't heard anything from you. I sent a request for a proposal in there, and we can't find any information on it. I mean, and not through our lead generation forms or anything like that. And we're pretty good about keeping up with those. I'm not going to say it's not on our end, but on the phone call back, we didn't get a response or an answer, from the guy. So, but we always get, three or four, it seems like, Daniel, that say, hey, I ain't heard from you on them. And you follow back up with them and finally get in touch with them. Then they're like, oh, well, and you tell them, hey, we can't find anything. We apologize. What's your address? And then it's an area we don't service or it wasn't us. And they've just called so many people, they've forgotten who they've called.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm just curious if you guys run into that too. You know,
I
I
think
mean,
that's a sign though of potentially a good thing, right? Like if you're coming up when someone searches online, lawn company near me or whatever, then that means you're probably doing good with your SEO and stuff. So, if you're probably not getting those calls, what I'm saying, if you're not findable, you know.
right, right.
So
So
it's a product of being easy to find, being one of the top two or three numbers that people can Google and find that you're gonna have some miscommunication or some people who think they called you but really didn't.
that forgot who it was that they did call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to talk today too about other than crazy phone calls and emails, and you follow up with them, and then we had another one that said, "Can you resend my proposals out to us?" Uh, oh, and Kyle said she's already, and we did it, and she approved it. So there you go. There you go. So it came through and said, "Could you resend it to me?" We had a concierge email address. Daniel's what it was. She said, and I can't find it. She said, "So just send it to my direct email." And so yeah, she approved it. So
There you go.
there you go, buddy. It
Certainly
was a
going strong.
landscape and a mow. So ta-da. So it's just, well, it is what it is. It'll be all right. Yeah, we'll certainly we'll try to get her mowed today or tomorrow for sure. So we'll be out that way. So long as it's not a tricky backyard, oh, front and side, good deal. How far is she from some of our St. Matthews stuff that we do? That street's not too far from. We're going. The reason I say that we're going out that way today, so might be able to pick her up, make her happy, and hallelujah. We'll see. Well, that was a quick one. See, we was talking about crazy things that happened. Just turned into a minimum of a mow job for the season, and got a landscape proposal that went with it. So we'll see. We'll see. Got a nice little landscape job the other day. So we'll see how that goes. It'll go fine, but it was real nice. Nice, slow job to put on the book. So hopefully you guys are adding work too. Um, the landscape got approved too. You gonna share those with me? What do you think, Daniel? Think Kyle ought to share me as salesman number half on that, or
That's a possibility.
no? No, it don't matter who sells them. They all go into the pot, but that talk about pride and confidence. That's where pride and confidence and arrogance can come into play. So, woohoo! There we go. Both of them signed, sealed, and delivered. And the funny thing, that's why I was a few minutes late hopping on here. Other than finding my song, I couldn't. My music had my phone had an up, whatever you call those things. Not an upload, but where they
Update.
an update. Yeah, and took me a minute. So, well, good deal. So there's a nice little landscape job with a paid deposit on it, and there you go. Can't go wrong. It's a nice way to start the day. Let's keep it rolling. And we'll pass that back to Kyle if you would, Daniel. So landscape animo. So we I thought I had that other one. Did I already give you the other part of that first?
No.
Huh. I don't know what I did with that.
Was
So
that with the ones you just did?
no.
Oh.
Maybe. Was that both of those, Kyle, that I just gave you? Uh okay. Well, I was going to say just so we be sure to get them on the I get them on their our sheet there. So our fire list, as we call it, we get something new that comes in or something. We get them written down and get them taken care of right away. Just to get them that priority service. That's what it's all about. I don't know if that's how you guys are doing or not, or but now we're not going to go 20 miles out of our way to go service an account right away. But generally, we put somebody new on, we get that account serviced right away for them. So, go ahead and get it done and say hallelujah. True that. True that. So, oh well, that's a good way to start the show and the day, man. Glad that happened. So we'll get her on there. But being that it is bidding season there, and I do want to talk about a couple things. I saw a thing on social media where a guy was asking about if you mow for realtors or do landscaping work for realtors, and is it worth it? With the properties always changing and selling, and I mean, I'm just going to say I got two opinions on it. I really do. One opinion says no, and the second opinion says no for me. I mean, that's just me, you know. Um, I've just the thing I've found with realtors a lot of time is they want to pay you when the home is sold and closed on, and I don't know. I don't think it's our responsibility to have to wait that kind of 60 days, 90 days to get paid on something. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little random personally. If they're investing in the property so they can sell it faster, that invest like I don't know how what the standard is, if that is the standard, but I don't really think it should be the standard.
Well, that and and back in the day when we used to fool with, um, we never did a lot of it, but some of it, you know, yeah, yeah, and get it done and paid for and have it out of the way. But they were just always slow to pay for some reason, and that's probably because that was me, realistically. I mean,
And part of that
I,
probably is that to
back in the
where
day, I didn't chase it as hard fast, but
who's doing the work, right? Who's doing most of the work for the in that particular niche.
yeah,
And that might be what sets the standard. And it's hard to break into a standard that's set when the contract contractor type is continually flowing into that niche.
yeah,
If you're the oddball out, okay, I'm just not going to hire them. I'm going to get somebody else to do it because there's 75 other people that are lining up knocking on my door to try to get it done.
yeah. Mike said he feels like realtors prey on small new companies. That's his experience. So, will they make you feel good? Like, hey, man, I'm gonna have jobs all year long for you. But the problem is they're all over the city. You know, and you're bouncing around, and by the time they call you, a lot of times they're some of them may or may not be maintained on a regular basis, and you know, they yeah, yeah, Kyle makes a good point. They call you on Friday. It says, "Hey, I need somebody to mow today for me," because I got an open house on Sunday or whatever it may be, or Saturday, and you'd love to help them. I mean, we were just talking about that in here just last week. That it'd be really nice to help people that fast. All the time, and when we can, we do, but sometimes we just can't get to somebody that fast too. So, and that can be challenging with working, in that realtor environment. Excuse me, as well. So I don't know. I'm just curious if any of you guys watching this and or listening to it, um, what you found out in working with realtors. If you've had good luck with it, or do you still do it? And then does it work for you? And if it does, great. Like I said, I just always had a little bit. I had one realtor that we used to work for many, many years ago that actually worked out good for me. But that was because there was a family association. It was a friend of my mom and dad's who sold property, and she would pay us upon completion of the work. You know, so that always worked out. And I've had to reach out to realtors, uh, their home office, and say, hey, can you help get me paid? I've done work for so and so, and I can't get paid on it. And can you help me? And that really got one of the realtors fired up one day. And but I got a phone call. We got paid. You know, but it worked. It worked. I mean, the bottom line is it's your money. You did the work. They need to pay you. You know. Um, let's see. It says I have a few realtor friends who recommend me to their clients for landscaping, but I don't work for the realtor. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. You know. Fred says they're just as bad as used car salesmen most of the time.
Mm.
That so oh Lord, it sounds like we've all had very similar experiences. So you young guys out there are not necessarily young, but new guys in the industry, and when I say new, not just this year, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years in, or, you haven't dabbled into the working for the realtor market at this point. That's just some good experience from four different people here that have that have texted in and had similar experiences like we did with it. So uh, tread lightly, tread lightly if you're going to do it. So again, not saying not to do it, but just be careful. Be careful with it. That's the thing. Just because it can get sideways in a hurry, and now they sell the house, and now you're trying to get paid, and now if they don't want to pay you, you know, to Mike's point, they prey on smaller companies. They don't pay you, and they go on to the next one. And that's what's bad about social media. I mean, we were having that discussion in here today, or not today, last week, one day, about you know, it's always been easy to find somebody that would just mow some grass for you, right? I mean, that's always been an easy thing. There's a million guys out there mowing, okay? And of course, diversification is the key to success. But just for the sake of talking about mowing for a few minutes here, um, we were talking about it's worse than it used to be, even because now with all these neighborhood apps and Facebooks and everything else, there's a whole lot of opportunities for people to find even more than they used to just catch guys riding down the street or at McDonald's or wherever they were pulled in for lunch. And um, so I don't know that the market's any more prostituted with contractors than it was, but I think the consumer's access to those contractors is easier than it used to be. What do you think?
Probably so. I think
You know,
that's true. I wonder too, though, if there is or has been any slight uptick because people know I don't need to have initial connections to get into it. I can just hop online on my Facebook neighborhood page or
in startup,
whatever and start it there. Whereas before it's like, oh, well, I kind of have a few people that I know that could either I could do work for them or they can refer me out to other people, kind of that situation. Now it's like anybody without any previous kind of reason, if you will, or push specifically for lawn and landscaping
yeah.
can just be like, oh, well, I guess I'll try this and see what I can gain from, Facebook or whatever it might be.
See if it turns out good,
See if
bad,
it
or
turns out.
indifferent.
And if it doesn't, then, no big deal. I can just do this and either get out of it immediately or do it for a year. And if it doesn't work out after that, whatever. But yeah, it definitely has, I think, increased the awareness of the not just the little, but the tiny, tiny guy, the tiny startup.
Yeah. That's a really valid point, Daniel. It really is. And it is because I know when I first started, and a lot of you guys out there, I mean, you start with friends of the family. I think my first 9 accounts were friends of my mom and dad's, you know, and I mean, that goes back a lot of years. And, in high school when we started, quote unquote, we didn't even start a business then. We just started mowing lawns. We the history you got to go that far back, but the reality of it is, and that's what a lot of us say, right? Hey, man, I started mowing when I was 13 or whatever, but um, I started with, I think it was nine accounts, mom, 9 friends of my mom and dad that, were willing to help me buy books to go to school. That's what it amounted to because that was my responsibility
Right.
was my book money. They,
Nowadays, it's funny how your perception can change based on where you are. Kind of going back to what we talked about at the very beginning, right? But you probably thought, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to get these a few customers, people that are going to let me cut their lawn." And who knows, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but maybe they had somebody before then that they had been using for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years And that person is like, oh, wow, I guess there's no more loyalty in the world because they're hiring this kid to do, cut their lawn.
Right.
Now that happens to us and we're like, oh, wow, I guess, loyalty or, people just aren't as loyal as they used to be. Or, you know, we blame it on our own lack of being able to create the loyalty, maybe. But in reality, it's just that's the way that it's going to go sometimes. You can be doing everything right.
Right.
And sometimes you're you know you're growing up and somebody knows somebody, and then that's where something else starts. So
Yeah.
I think there's obviously a difference there between a loyalty issue and
Yeah.
your business and just somebody
I gotcha.
being more loyal to another thing, with a friend versus a business or whatever. But
But and it is, I mean, it that does bring up a valid point too. Mike brings up something fun, Daniel. Uh he let me let me go back to his text. There's a couple texts back. It was pretty funny and accurate. So there's Chad Harden. Yeah. Let's see. Where'd you go, Mike? I'm looking for Mike's thing here. Brought up a good point. He was talking about it's funny how you don't see, or he says it's funny how you see a lot less AAA service company business names anymore. And what the people did that for, Daniel, was advertising in the yellow pages,
yeah,
and that is true. Everybody would be like A plus this or double A, AA lawn care or AA windows or AA air conditioning,
AA runs.
AAA runs. That is true. That going back to different. God, what do we want to call them?
Just a different era of
Yeah,
finding someone. Now, what the era kind of is SEO keywords. So what people it used to be, well, I need to be in, let's say, I want to be in the front of the yellow pages, so it's going to be AAA, lawn and landscaping. Whereas now it's more so I need a name that if someone searches, I'm going to have some natural findability with what people are already searching. So, you know, just having even lawn and landscaping in your name versus not having it can be more SEO findability or whatever. So, it's definitely a different era when it comes to how people are finding you. And now we're finding, and this is something we're actually making a change on our lead sheet, is people are finding you through artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. We've had 2 or 3 this year come to us and say, hey, we heard about y'all through just doing a simple search of lawn and landscape companies. I don't know the specific phrase they used. Maybe Katie could be more on that. But and we were one of the ones that popped up on the Chat GPT or the artificial intelligence. So even the SEO era, a little bit is, I don't want to say it's fading away, but it's getting maybe partially um, changed up. Disrupted by the artificial intelligence era.
artificial intelligence error. Wow, that
We went
is
from
coming
phone book
along
to
too.
SEO to
Phone book to that.
now we're in the
Yeah,
essentially the
yeah,
artificial
through that.
intelligence era.
It is funny how over the course of time you do see that lead generation and how they change and things that do change and go from triple A's and double A's in front of names to people actually using their real names that they like and not their actual real given name. But and that's something when we're not going to talk about it today really, but um, using your given name maybe is something to think about not doing. We've talked about that before, but we'll talk about that on another show. But
It is interesting though because I was thinking about that the other day. Actually, yesterday at the Bats game, there was a Mike's Car Wash was doing some sort of promotion, and it got me thinking: is there a real Mike to that? Or is it just hey Mike's Car Wash? It makes it feel more personal. Makes it feel like
it does make it feel very personal,
makes it
doesn't
feel
it?
like not necessarily like okay if I have a problem here, I'm just going to call up somebody and I'm going to get to talk to Mike. Like I don't think like that necessarily, but it does make you feel like more of a connection with a human experience to a certain degree versus just a random, you know, random name car wash, you know.
Right.
So there's goods and bads to both, you know. There's certainly pros
Yes.
and cons to figure out what you how you want to do it.
I think that's a very valid point, Daniel. You know, and that's one of the reasons we got off of Wayne's lawn service to WLS was because everybody called and wanted to talk to Wayne, you know, and that
Mm.
was going back to egos and confidence and all that. You know, that made you feel good at first, but as your company grows, you know, there needs to be a distinction between who you really need to talk to, you know, and if you stay small, it's fine. But I do like your point of it puts a name and it makes it more personal with a
Right.
name. So
You know, part of the thing you just said though, I think there's even good and bad in like who should like should you name if you're small, should you name your business, you know, Wayne's Lawn Service if you're small or if you're large. And I think part of the bad part about that is hey, everyone is going to want to talk to Wayne, and especially as you do get even one more person in, it's like, well, this person can also handle your issue, but they don't want to talk to you because you're not Wayne. But also, you know, you need to be able to, or you can use your name and your kind of not your reputation, but use that as like a what's the best way to put it? Kind of like a this is who this is. You can trust this kind of thing, you know, and then kind of going even past that, like you know, you go from Mike and his lawn service becomes Mike's lawn service, but then Mike also needs to be separate. We talked about that, I think, this last week or week before, from the lawn service. Like Mike's lawn service isn't just like it's not Mike. Mike is his own person. So Mike also needs to or can, but also potentially maybe he does need to let the company set the rules, be the bad guy, do follow the policies and procedures set out by Mike instilled into the business. Like just
yes,
because it's Mike's lawn service doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm Mike anyway. So, you know, we'll just do it this way for you, even though we're not supposed to. Or we'll, you know,
well that
we
I
can
was going to
clear
ask you
path
that
off
if
because, you know, I'm Mike.
that exact thing, Daniel, is do you think people were more apt to take advantage of that?
I think they can be. I think, yeah, especially knowing that it is I'm talking to the main guy. Then it's like, well, why can't you just do it? Aren't you the one that
Make
set
the
the rule?
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So you can just break the rule, right? For me, because you know we're good friends, and I'll be a loyal customer, and I'll be I'll let you continue to do my lawn and
yeah. All
all
the
the
reasons
things.
they give you, they you know, and they blow you up and tell you how great you are, and y'all do wonderful work, and
Yeah.
blah blah this, and you know, we talk about that you can't listen to that fodder. You know that you can't listen to that noise. You hear it and you appreciate it, and some of it may be even genuine. But at the end of the day, a lot of times it does come back to uh, business decisions for people, especially as you grow and you do more commercial work and things like that. Relationships are always important, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But
And I think, I mean, I don't know if this is the road that you individually want to go down with that, but like, just because your name's Mike and it's Mike's Lawn Service doesn't mean you're the owner. Hey, I'm just Mike.
yeah,
It's like to some people or to most people, maybe you're just, oh, you don't have to say, hey, I'm the owner if that's not the route you want to take with that individual. Sometimes it's a benefit to do that, like we're talking about, because you can connect and you can say, I'm going to be here. I'm Mike. I'm going to take care of you, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes maybe you can get the vibe for somebody that they're going to be a little bit more um, high maintenance. And so it's like, you don't necessarily have to tell them that you are the guy.
right.
You're just another guy that works for Mike. And your name's
Yeah.
Mike too, maybe. Like,
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I've actually had people do that with me. Uh, when I go to see people, they're like, "Well, are you Wayne?"
right.
Of Wayne's Lawn Service, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, actually, I am." But and you do get different responses to that. Sometimes people are like, "Oh man, that's really cool," and it's like, "Oh man, what are you doing out here?"
Hmm.
I've had so you get both sides of that perception, and that goes back to our buddy. Customer perception is our reality that we live in, and I mean, that's very true. So that is a really interesting to think about the different sides of that when it comes to, the image and the perception and uh, what
And
what
maybe you can create an alter ego, right? Specifically for someone calls you on the phone and you have, this alter ego that you use, just a different guy's name,
just
you know? Oh
yeah,
no, oh well, hey, this is Fred, of Mike's lawn service. And then
yeah,
you talk to him as Fred, and then he can be the guy that lays the law down and says, "Well, I'd love to help you out, but this is the way that it is."
yeah. I'm just enforcing our procedure policy and
Yeah,
procedures.
yeah,
I'm the accounting guy.
right.
And then you switch your hat off, and then you're the production guy, and then you're marketing guy. So then you're sales guy. So you have to wear all the hats a lot of times, within your company, and that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with it. But like Daniel said, sometimes you change the names to protect the innocent and see how it goes. I can honestly say I've done that in the course of 47 years. That it's and the lady that called in one time wanting to talk to Wayne because of a bad driver, and then I was the driver too. I mean, I've had that happen more than once. So a lot of things can happen with that situation, but I don't know. But I do like your whole connection between, the person of the personalization of the name is definitely a reality to that. And, and with that, it takes us to, talking a little bit here while we've got a few minutes left. But talking about, in bidding jobs, I mean, people, because you have that power to make a change, have you established a minimum, and do you stick to that minimum regardless of what it is, whether it's for mowing or weed control or mulching or whatever it is? Or do you tell everybody on social media, your buddies and all the, on these social media pages, I say, oh yeah, we got a minimum of this, and then unless this or because of this, or they start giving you reasons. But the reality of it is, do you have a minimum, and are you sticking to your minimums for the services that you offer? And the phone call that you get of, hey, well, what do you charge to cut an acre? I hate that phone call. And I swear, and you guys think I'm joking about this, you can call and ask if I answer the phone. Most of the time I'm going to joke and say as much as we can get, you know, and a lot of people will laugh at that. And they're like, that's kind of funny, but it is. I mean, the reality of it is that there's too many variables for us to say, hey, it's $20 an acre or it's $200 an acre. I mean, there's variables that get involved. And I think that's one way of easing that scenario up a little bit when somebody does ask that question, well, what do you charge to cut an acre? Well, there's what are the variables that get involved in that? You know, that's what we need to think about. It is it a weekly service? Is it a monthly field that we're mowing that's 5 acres? Or there's so many things that get involved in it that it's not just a, hey, this is a price per acre and this is what we're going to charge. So we'll talk more about that though on Wednesday. I want you guys to put that in your hat and think about your minimums, and do you really have a minimum? Do you stick to those minimums? And then what's your minimum for an acre? What's your minimum for a lawn? And do you know why? There's just a whole lot of reasons why we get to thinking about things. So, um, appreciate you guys being with us today. Appreciate all the input. As always, thanks, Daniel, for hopping on with me. We always get that great input with you.
Sure thing.
And hey, hope you have a great Monday. Be careful. And remember, profit is not a dirty word. We'll see you on Wednesday.